the hospital for 2 months.
Yes.
I kind of jumped into another question, and I'm not sure if you were able to finish the thought of what was it that got you out of the hospital? What was it because of your relationship with these higher beings that they were able to kind of heal you and help you deal with those headaches, or what sort of got you out of the hospital and being tested and all the headaches?
They got me out when they found an explanation that they invented, because I was given hormones and the pill, and they provoked my period. And once they could explain, like with denial, that the bleeding at the start was due to preparing my period, they try to find an explanation, and then they went, okay, she'll be fine, out. But never. Yeah, my headaches calmed down slowly, and but that was the implant, because it's been very hard, invasive, the way the place they put it, the way they did it, and then the Pleiadians trying to trigger it, to remove it. No, it reattune it. Okay, I mean, my head was like a jam.
Oh man. And then after the hospital, when was the first you visited with Thor Han again? But then there was that 20-year gap, right? You had another visitation before that big gap, or was it after the
Yes.
hospital there was that gap?
Yes, I had 3 visitations. 1 with the lady and 2 with him. And the 2 visitations I was on board the ship. And I remember as well, when I was on board the ship, they showed me how to pilot it. I couldn't touch anything. I wasn't allowed to touch anything, but they allowed me to sit in the chair. And because Thorhan was a pilot, and he showed me and he explained to me. And recently I asked him again, when we were doing this book, that he explained to me in more details how it was really working. So there are different ways of piloting a ship, and they can pilot by consciousness, by merging their frequency with the frequency of the ship. They can do it mechanically. It depends. There are so many formations.
Nice. Well, let's definitely shift gears, because this is so fascinating. I'm so I've got so many questions though about what we just talked about, but just because for a timing thing, we can always do more. You mentioned that you had met Valiant Thor 2 weeks ago on the orbital ship where your friend Thor Han is working, and the encounter was quite striking. So take us into that and some of the communications that have taken place.
Yes. So as I was starting to do the channelings, people were asking me, could you connect to Valiant Thor? And I'd barely heard that name before. And I said, well, I don't know. So I asked Thorhan, do you know this guy? Is he real? And he said, oh, yes, he's real. I don't know, no way. So he said, I can get a contact with you if you want. I went, oh my God. So he said, he's a commander, and he's living on an outpost of the Federation on Venus. And he said, I'm going to put a request and see if he answers. And it took like maybe a month, and there wasn't any answer. And Thorhan said to me, well, maybe we give up, because I know he's been a bit traumatized by being on Earth, and maybe that's it. Maybe he doesn't want to have to do anything with Earthlings, Terrans, as they call it, us. And recently, 2 weeks ago, Thorhan said, hey, he replied. And no, he said he contacted me telepathically, and he said, oh, I have a surprise for you. Do you want to come up? And I went, what's the surprise? No, he said, someone you wanted to meet is here on board the station. And I went, oh my God, I think I get it. Okay, so the thing is, he beamed me up, but the way he did it, it beamed. So it's like dematerialization and rematerialization rematerializing up there. It's like quantum, like boom, boom. It's not being by a beam, you know, it's just disappearing in one place and appearing in the other one. And I was there, and Thorhan was with these two guys. So it's a little smaller than him because it's not the same race. And Thorhan is an Ahel Pleiadian. It's just tall, blonde beings with big, wide eyes, and they're quite tall. And these two other ones, these two guys, were like me, brown hair, brown eyes. You couldn't tell they were aliens if they were on Earth in a crowd. You couldn't. And so he introduced me to this guy, and I knew it was Valiant Thor, and I just knew it. And so, and he said, um, how did he say that in English? And it's funny because he was talking, he spoke, his lips were moving, but in the same time, I could hear his voice in my head. This was weird. He said, "Nice, very nice to meet you, Elena. My name is Commander Val Thor." And I liquefied. His aura was very, very radiant, and he was so calm. Shook my hand very nicely, and the other guy was with him. He said, "This is my brother Don." Guy was like him, a little bit taller, brown hair, and he said, "Let us go and sit and talk." I was like, "Is it really happening to me? What?" So we went to another room. It was filled with light, and there was a bit of a depression and round curved seats, and we sat there. And Torhan was putting his hand in my back just to ground me, and so he said that he didn't reply straight away because he's working a lot and he didn't pay attention, and he was on Earth. So what came in this conversation was that he came in he came in 1954, but he came a few times before already, and he was sent by the Galactic Federation to convince the leaders of Earth at the time not to make bad choices, because the Federation had contacted some leaders to warn them not to make agreement with tricky, toxic races.
So there was the visitation with the Nordics, though, that happened in
Yes.
1954, and then the Greys came along. But are you saying Valiant Thor was a part of that first contact with the Nordics?
No, he came after.
Okay, but he had started to visit Earth in 1954, and then
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so but the warning was, I mean, he was a part of that team, but he wasn't in that contact. I mean,
No, he was part of the project.
Gotcha.
He was part
So
of the project.
It started with the Nordics.
Yes. So yes, the Nordics, as many know the story, which he confirmed, they were sent by the Federation, and they wanted to warn the people, the leaders, not to accept that they were about to be contacted by another races of Greys, and that they shouldn't, they were advised not to accept, because it would be a bad choice, because these didn't want the good of humanity. And he said, so the Nordic said to president at the time that that they would instead offer them, if they want, to deactivate their weapons in order and teach them how to get on with each other and make peace, and try to ease the envy and the greed between nations, giving everyone the same amount of technology and help, medical technology, free energy devices, propulsion technology, a lot of things, if they agreed to with them to of their assistance.
What was Thor Han a part of this Nordic group?
No.
No. Okay, keep going.
No. So the thing is, it's been turned down. And what Valiant Thor said, well, his name is Val, in fact. Valiant is an interpretation. He said it's not his name, it's Val Thor. Okay, he said that your great-grandfather wanted to sign to go with the Nordics because he understood this was the way forward for humanity. And that Valiant Thor said that he found in your great-grandfather a man who loved children, a man who was very drawn to protecting children. And that resonated with him. And that's how he thought there was hope, because your great-grandfather was thinking about the future of the future children and the future of humanity throughout children. And there was something very important about children. And he was about to accept, because things had been going on since 1954, and it was in between agreements, and then agreements were signed behind the president's back, Valiant Thor said, by 12 men of power. And I think it's the majestic 12 he was talking about, without the consent of the president. They signed with the Greys.
So the Nordics came, and then the Greys came, and
Yes.
12 men without the authorization of Eisenhower signed deals with the Greys, and they've been blaming Eisenhower ever since.
Yes. So Eisenhower was very angry and wanted to reverse, but it was too late, because these people, their ethics are very interesting. Be they the bad one or the good ones, they put ahead of everything the free will. They cannot impose a decision, even if it is assistance. If the people, the species, doesn't require assistance, they can't force it. It's about the free will. So what Val Thor told me that day, 2 weeks ago, he said, you need to request assistance, but not by putting yourself down as inferior, but by putting yourself at the same level as us. Because if you request to be freed from slavery, because that's what we're talking about, do not ask as in the position of a slave. We're not gods, we're not superior to you, we just have a different technology, more advanced, but we're people like you, just born somewhere else, different technology. We are not superior, you're not inferior. You need to be conscious of your own power, your own abilities, and request assistance equal to equal, not on your knees, but standing strong. You need to do that as much as you can all over the earth. He said, we have stopped trying to get disagreement by your leaders. We've stopped. Now we are asking the whole people, everyone, to do this.
Right. So the Nordics, it was in between, like they were, okay, what it sounds like is Eisenhower was siding with the Nordics. He wanted to bring about that kind of disclosure. And then they got a warning about the Greys, and behind Eisenhower's back, they signed this treaty with the Greys. And then the next phase of it is Val Thor then shows up.
Yes,
and he's put on VIP status for 3 years. Is that all accurate?
Yes. Okay,
yeah, tell us a little bit about that, and I don't want to miss anything. So if I kind of jumped in and you were trying to finish a thought, just go back to what it was.
So he stayed 3 years. He moved 3 years. What he said that first he was coming and going, and he was visiting the President Eisenhower, and his bodyguards and his people around were starting to be very nervous and annoyed that Valthor could materialize and teleport like this. So they asked him not to do that anymore. So he moved in. That's why he moved in.
That's why he moved in. Okay.
In the
And
Pentagon, yeah.
right. So Eisenhower put him on VIP status at the Pentagon, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's true. But he wasn't always there. He was based there and a lot there, but he was coming and going as he wanted. Once he was in his apartments, he could dematerialize.
Right. It's just don't do it in front of us kind of thing.
Yes. And he visited as well other leaders.
Right.
In the meantime.
So yeah, tell us kind of from the minute that contact was made, what you discovered, what ended up happening. He wanted, I mean, it seemed Eisenhower was siding with them and they became close to a certain degree, right? So to kind of take us into that.
Yeah, he said that he considered him as his friend. Valthor considered Eisenhower as his friend. And when he left, he said when he left, because his mission was complete in 1960, he contacted him twice afterwards. When Eisenhower wasn't president anymore, because as friend. But when when Valthor left, he said to Eisenhower, "I'm sorry." He said to me, I told him I was sorry. And I said, "Why did you say that?" He said, "Because I was sorry not to have been able to help your people." And he left with bitterness a bit. And but he said something absolutely as well important, that I broke in tears when he said that, because I suddenly, because he had an aura quite powerful, I start to speak not on my behalf but on behalf of Earth people, because I don't need to be convinced. But I start to become emotional, and it wasn't me. It was weird. It was like I was channeling souls of billions of Terrans. I don't know. I was saying, "Please give us a sign. Give us signs. Please give us proofs. We need to see. We need to believe. We need to know you're here for us." And I start to get really emotional, and it was weird. And he put his hand on mine, and suddenly, it was peace. And he said to me, "We will never let you down. We never had, and we never will." And when he said that, in these words, through these words, it was so powerful, so meaningful. I broke in tears, and I knew he meant it. And I knew that was something people should be aware. They are not letting us down, and they fighting every day for us. And if they, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, if they do that, it's because they know it's worth it.
And but you had this encounter 2 weeks ago. We're not talking like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We're talking post virus insanity. I mean,
I know.
So okay. The reason he couldn't really help though was because like the Joint Chiefs of Staff and all these shadow government individuals shut down Val's ability to help us, right? So he couldn't. So what I've kind of come to understand is that it was like, okay, there wasn't a whole lot that anybody could do, but they're still assisting. And he held Eisenhower in high esteem, like you said.
Yes.
And there was still a relationship there. And then with Eisenhower's final speech and the way he kind of worded it, kind of made me feel that this had a lot to do with the discussion that him and Val must have had about being up to a knowledgeable and aware citizenry in order to kind of win this war, and that it couldn't go through these leaders, like you said, anymore. But maybe the team is different. I don't know.
Yes, well, Val spoke about 12 men of power and behind Eisenhower's back. And I'm convinced he was talking about the majestic 12 people.
Yeah. So here we are in what we're dealing with. They're still, fighting on our behalf. I don't want to say the word fighting, but they're assisting us.
Yes, that's it. Better word.
Yes. At all. But
no. Yeah.
With this kind of darker agenda, though, and I mean, was some kind of plan put in place that Eisenhower might have been a part of, where the positive military is working with these benevolent higher beings that you know of?
Sorry, your image froze. You said, you asked if he was part of a plan?
Did the Nordics and Val's team end up, or just the Nordics, or one or the other, or both, end up creating some sort of plan that involved positive military? So when we hear about like the white hats and we hear about some of the more positive things going on,
Yes.
was that something that carried over when the gray deal happened, that there's something that they still ended up doing together, that Eisenhower and the Nordics and his relationship with Val, there's something that just didn't just go away. It just got more like
Oh,
some
yes.
plan must have been set in motion, right? Or what do you know about that?
Yes, what I know is that the Galactic Federation didn't give up because it was too important. You know, they've been fighting the reptilian empire and the Greys from Orion, the Orion Alliance, forever. And these, you know, the Orion Grey Alliance is not friend usually with the Sikaar reptilian empire, but sometimes they ally together for sharing a purpose, what they do on Earth. So
Like the control agenda purpose, you mean?
yes, and the humanity is basically used as slave and food. I can tell the truth. Um, so the Galactic Federation, because they didn't have the free will agreement from the Terrans officially, they say, it's all right, we're gonna do by behind the curtain, not officially, and so they work the underground, not, I mean, you know, um, to since then they never stopped helping us. They've avoided us so many catastrophes, so many nuclear blasts. We still the, alive. There's still life on Earth. It's because of them. They protected us from destroying everything many times, and as well from the reptilian and the Greys. So because of this free will thing, this is what stops them to just intervene and wipe out in one go everything, all the reptilians. So, but they work since then. They have as well secret agreements. I'm not told everything about it because it's for my safety. Because even if they know I won't tell, I know. And the simple fact that it is known that I know, I mean, it's not safe. So anyway, so what I know is that, yes, there are contingents of the Galactic Federation working with military, US military mainly, the Russians as well, a lot as well, and to try to counter a bit and limit the damages. Actually, all the underground operations in the deep underground military bases to free and cleanse everything, to liberate places one by one, are done by the cooperation of some part of the US military and some contingents of the Federation. This is very secret, but they work together.
Yes, right. So when